Hello and welcome back to Culture Decks. Today we're doing a reaction and I'm joined by the wonderful Sai. Hi,
Hello! Sai. It's nice to be here, comfy on this channel.
I know. Is it nice to be on another channel?
I know, I'm spreading my wings everywhere. Yeah, no, finally, I'm here.
Yeah, it's nice to also be opposite someone who isn't Tom.
That seems a bit harsh, but I won't say
Oh,
anything
no.
he's my boss. I'm not going to join in with that.
No. I love Tom, but it's good to see some other people from time to time. I was feeling a little bit trapped, but it's okay. How are you today?
Yeah, good. We are recording the day after the Game Awards, which is always very exciting, and it felt like a really great edition of the Game Awards. And we're here to talk about new Pokemon, which is always exciting in a different way.
Exactly. I didn't watch the Game Awards because I stayed up too late playing the Pokémon Legends Z-A Mega Dimension DLC, which is what we're here to talk about. But
Smooth.
First, Sai, tell me about your connection to Pokemon.
My connection to Pokemon?
Yes.
I mean, I've been here since day dot, really. Or day dot western side, not day dot, Japan had it longer than
that's
we did.
fair, yeah.
But yeah, it's always been the franchise that I've gravitated towards every year. It's like that guaranteed purchase for me every year. I will pick up whatever the new Pokemon game it is. Fandom has, I think, ebbed and flowed to certain degrees, depending on various factors, but I've always picked up every Pokemon game along the way, and yeah, Legends Z-A, no different. Base game, and yeah, happy to play the DLC day one. Got many thoughts about it.
Yeah, exactly. I absolutely agree with you. Yeah, so if you haven't tuned into a Culture Decks video before, this was going to be a bit reaction, and today, because the Mega Dimension DLC just came out a couple of days ago, we haven't played through all of it, so we're going to do a bit of a first reactions and just talk about our time with it and a little bit about Legends Z-A in general. I think I quite like this DLC. I haven't played all of it, and I don't love it, but I do like it. And I think it's one of these things where it doesn't do what I'd hoped, but I have to also just look at what it's doing and kind of be happy with that.
Right.
Like, to very quickly, the Pokemon Mega Dimension DLC, if you haven't played it already, I don't know why you'd be watching this, but also maybe just love hearing other people's voices. It adds a little bit to the end of Pokemon Legends Z-A. It's very strictly tacked onto the end, so it follows the ending as well. And after saving, spoilers, Lumiose Tower, Prism Tower even, then these Mega Dimension rifts, hyperspace rifts or whatever, start opening up over the Lumiose, and it's up to you and a new small trainer. Is her name Ashna? I can never remember.
Something like that. It begins with
yes. A very small girl arrives with Hooper and offers to start making you donuts so you can feed the donuts to her Hooper. It all sounds like a bit of a swizz. She wants you to feed her Pokemon, and then you open new portals and they go to these new areas that have some different Pokemon that weren't in the base game and some new Mega Evolutions. I quite like it. It's a couple of new Mega Evolutions, and it also introduces Z Mega Evolutions. The pre-release trailer revealed Mega Lucario Z, and we're going to talk about, I'd say, the first three Mega Evolutions that are revealed. So we won't talk about loads of stuff, but the very first two or three, just so we don't spoil things for people.
Yes.
Yes, hopefully that's not a problem. But the very first one you fight in a sort of recreation of the first Mega Evolution fight in Legends Z-A is Absol Z, which is a brand new design. It's dual Dark and Ghost type, and it's like a black version of Absol, which is really, really cool. I quite like it. I quite like the story structure. I like everything about sort of the way it's presented. But yes, I'm interested to see what you think after the first few hours.
I've been on a bit of a journey with it already, only in the first few hours, to be honest, because I think part of that is we just didn't really know exactly what to expect out of it, because this is coming so soon after the base game as well, where personally, frankly, and I know this is maybe sacrilege to say on a Pokemon channel, I was a little bit Pokemoned out. I wasn't ready for another, piece of content on top of that game. I mean, to be fair, I had recently, before Legends Z-A, replayed Scarlet, and then before that, replayed Soul Silver. So I'd been on a long stretch, and there might just be a me thing, but it came along so quick, and it was all a little bit vague about what exactly it was. So I didn't know quite what we were getting into. And when it comes to what you said there is great, like expectations versus you've got to look at what it's actually doing and is it good at doing it. And I'm still not completely sure about it. I liked it. I thought, oh no, actually, This is a little bit ropey. It kind of got me back in a little bit. I'm not sure on the structure of it, which is very much just... I guess if you love the base game, it is kind of more of the same. You're going into these hyperspace areas, which as you kind of go through the sets of objectives, they go from little mini wild areas, essentially, with like 3 Pokemon in a piece. Then there's battle ones, and then there's side mission ones. You're like, well, these are the kind of just what was in the base game, but now they're in like a weird, ethereal, not quite non-Euclidean geometry world. I think it's fine so far. I certainly don't hate it. There are elements I really like, but there are some elements that have definitely given me pause. The grind between each objective is getting longer and longer, and I'm not massively sold on the structure as it pertains to, and you mentioned it there, so you need to like cook donuts in order to give yourself time within the hyperspace to complete the objectives, which is done by combining berries, including the new hyper berries, which make more powerful donuts. But you need a donut every time you enter hyperspace to go and do something. So you are constantly running back and forth between wherever you want to go in the city and back to the hotel to cook a batch of donuts, which is a little bit tiring. How are you feeling about the donut aspect to it? I have to laugh. It's so Pokemon, because it's like, entering hyperspace Lumiose, your donut power ran out. Seems at odds, but I really
thought we'd got away with it this time. After making curries and making sandwiches, I was like, there's not a boring food making minigame in this one. Like, we've lucked out. And then they were like, haha, don't worry, we're going to add it to the DLC, and there's no way round it. And thankfully, we're not individually placing bits of ham or onion and then watching a Pokemon pretend to eat a sandwich. It's a little bit more streamlined. But it still is tedious, and you're right, you have to do it every single time, and the results are not quite randomized, but the quality of the berries you use, well, not the quality, sorry, you can get, as you say, there's hyper variations and there's regular berries, and then the rarity of the berry, rather, decides sort of the effectiveness of it. And they're categorized into sweet or spicy or other things. And basically, if you want to get certain powers, then if you head for sweet, there's a higher chance of unlocking like a sparkling power. If you head for spicy, you might get an encounter power or stuff like that. So it is very similar to the sandwiches in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, as well as also helping you unlock more time in the hyperspace zones, because the amount of calories the donut ends up being is basically the amount of seconds you spend in the hyperzone. So it's really intrinsically tied, and yes, I do agree, I wish it was quicker, and I wish either we could just, if we're outside of the hyperspace place, I wish that Hooper and that trainer, whose name I can't remember, which I feel really bad about, were just there.
Arena?
I'm just like, do you want to knock up a donut? That's the Mega Evolution expert, but I'm talking about Hooper's owner, Ashna. Yeah, I wish they were just there outside of the hyperspace portals, and we're just like, let's just knock one up now. Because even in Scarlet and Violet, you can make a sandwich anywhere, and you're right, heading back to Hotel Z to do it is like, this is busy work. And then when you want to get between the objectives, very similar to having to unlock the challenger tickets in the Z-A Royale, you're doing a lot of busy work. You get these goals every time you go into a hyperspace zone, that it might be catch 3 different species of Pokemon, it might be pick up 20 pieces of sparkling trash on the ground, or catch a certain amount of Pokemon without them noticing. So you get all of these little tasks, and then you get 1,000 points or 1,500 points, and essentially, as you say, Si, you get larger and larger amounts of points needed to unlock the next thing. And that, as well, is quite tedious. And that's the thing I didn't really like about the Z-A Royale. It's annoying, because also I'm so happy to have more rogue Mega Evolutions, because I love those fights. And one thing we haven't touched on, which I do really enjoy as well about this, is these Pokemon, when you go into the hyperspace zones, they are over-leveled to the point they are over level 100. And the Rogue Mega Evolutions as well are particularly tough. And then when you bake a donut, as well as them having different properties and different amounts of calories, it also decides how many levels it'll add to your Pokemon. So if you've got a level 100 Pokemon, if you bake a particularly good donut, you might get an additional 17 levels. So you're going in with a Pokemon who's a level 117. That's one of those things that feels not superfluous, but I haven't quite, other than just sometimes having to like ram through a boss, I'm like, I still don't quite understand what this is adding. Like, it doesn't feel like the Pokemon are much more difficult to beat or catch, but maybe that's something that ramps up a bit later on.
I think that might be the element of the DLC that I dislike the most, frankly, because I am speaking as someone who beat the main story of Legends Z-A, but didn't particularly do much or any of the post game yet. Like I will go back to it probably and knock it off, and I've got a bunch of requests from the late game story that I didn't finish either. So my team by the end of the game was about level 73 overall, something like that. So the problem is I'm adding 17, as you say, levels or whatever. I'm still not even reaching 100. So at one point, the game basically just outright tells you, hey, you should use your experience candies to bring your team's level up if it's not quite enough. So I've emptied my bag of all the rare candy. I've been shaking my bag out trying to find the last rare candy. So my team's like, now in the mid-80s. So I'm still a little bit behind. The problem is that when you're going into these areas, they do have like a star rating, potentially denoting like difficulty. This hyperspace area is 1 star, 2 stars, so on and so forth. That's true of the wild areas. That's true of the battle areas. It's not true of the side mission areas, which don't. They just kind of. They're a bit like it could be anything. It does say that whether or not there's a rogue Mega Pokemon in there or Mega Pokemon in there for you to fight, which is obviously going to imply a certain degree of difficulty when you get in there. But you are just kind of throwing a donut and hoping it sticks at that point. I mean, like, I'm going to use this donut. And if it was I did a side mission yesterday where I went in and just spoke to an NPC and left. And I used a big donut because I was like, this could be anything in here. Got trashed last time I walked into one of these things. So I just wasted a bunch of hyper berries on a donut that I then threw away. There was one, I don't know if I'm going to mention the Mega. There was a Mega in at least one of these side missions where you have to fight 2 of the same Mega, level 116 apiece, and so it's like a handicap match. And I was just like, I just can't beat this right now with my less than level 100 Pokemon, which is really unideal because you should be able to jump from the end of the main game into the DLC and not be expected to grind a team up to level 100. So I don't know if that's my perspective on it. They're going to be obviously fans that do have that team and do have the ability to do that. They're going to have an easier time with it. But yeah, there's parts where I was like, I'm just kind of getting rocked here and it feels a little bit unfair. And I can make better donuts, but I'm going to run out of berries eventually. I can only do that so much.
Yes. I will say, so I've got a team. I've got a solid 6 level 100 Pokemon. I mean, I've got loads of level 100 Pokemon, but like my team is EV trained to within an inch of its life. It's got like the absolute ideal moves and everything.
No.
And I'm still on that particular boss fight. I still got my stuff rocked. So I think I do think a way to look at it is the game is also making you make some tactical decisions. So I remember as I went in, the NPC in particular to that fight was like, oh, they're this type, make sure you bring this. And I was like, okay, so the game is actually really forcing its hand in terms of like, level alone isn't going to do it. You need to take advantage of type combinations. You maybe want to have a look at, like, does this have a lower special defense or physical defense? Which is interesting, and I do think is probably better than, I don't like when they've added stuff to Pokemon games before, and everyone is like, they're like, oh, before they were level 50 and now they're level 60, and I'm like, that is negligible. Like so I do quite like the fact that this is an actual challenge, but I know what you mean. It's this double-edged sword of you're right, like if a child is playing this and they've just about managed to get through, this is going to be tough. And that's unfortunately the balancing act that Pokemon has to do that very few games do, is like, this is a game for 8-year-olds, and it always will be for 8-year-olds. And unfortunately the vocal majority online is 30-somethings who played every single one and feel entitled to a game made specifically for them. But it's I don't know. I think I'm excited to see more of the fights, and I do really like doing more of the Rogue Mega Evolution fights. I just did the one that you talked about, and one of the other earlier ones. So we'll talk about one more, because I think it's one of the very early one of the very first 2, which was Mega Staraptor.
Such a pleasant surprise, by the way. As someone going into this knowing only the Megas that Nintendo and Pokemon Company had revealed themselves, the ones that they have picked so far for this DLC, I'm really excited about. And speaking more broadly, not to sidetrack what we're going to get into, but it's the thing that's keeping me going, certainly, as I want to see these cool new Megas. And Staraptor, brilliant choice. Loved it. Love the type. Everything about it's great.
I'm part of the r/Mega Flygon sort of brigade.
Yes.
But there does have to be something said for bucking expectations, because Phalanx has gone from a forgettable Pokemon to me to one that I'm like, that is incredible. Like, I love the Mega. It made me appreciate the original design. And same with oh my god, what's not Glalie, Snorunt's other evolution, which is based on the yokai of... Yes, that Mega is such a actual expansion of the lore of Frostlass, which, as I said, is one of many Pokemon based on a particular yokai, and that I love it so much, and it makes me appreciate the actual design of it. So I'm hoping, I haven't had everything spoiled for me, thank you Twitter. So I'm looking forward to seeing a couple of designs that I haven't seen yet. But yeah, just the surprise and the choices they've made, I think, are really, really good. Staraptor was one which I wasn't expecting, and I really like the design. I think it's fighting flying, so it's sort of a non-legendary Galarian Zapdos, which is really fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know who else is fighting. Oh no, Horlucha's fighting flying.
Yes.
But it's really cool. I really like the design, and also one thing about the Rogue Mega Evolution fights is they do give a really good opportunity for the Pokemon to sort of move in expressive ways, like the Mega Starmie fight and stuff like that. Instead of just the old days of like a sprite wiggling, the Rogue Mega Evolution fights are really good opportunity for them to do these huge sweeping attacks or move around the field in a certain way, and it really makes me appreciate the Pokemon and the intricacies of the new designs in ways that I just think are really cool, and I'm loving that in the DLC. I will say there's a lot of busy work, but it's more of the same, and the stuff I didn't is still here, and the stuff I really like is still here as well. So I think it's entirely going to be up to people of don't expect to be surprised. If you didn't like the bland areas in Lumiose, well, now there's a sort of rift around the bland areas in Lumiose.
Now they're
and
there, but they don't have any colour. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that's strange. And then I didn't really like the wild areas. I think they're a major step down from the open zones of Legends Arceus. And the hyperspace zones, they're much bigger, and there's Pokemon throughout all of them, but only a few at a time. So it's also like, okay, I'm glad there's more space, but also we're sort of limiting ourselves again. It really does speak to my love and my issues with the Legends ZA, that it's a very tough DLC to talk about at the moment. I look forward to talking more after I get right to the end, but God, it's been a busy week. It's been a lot going on.
It has, hasn't it just? Yeah, I think overall, I'm kind of at the same place with you, where it's like, I think I want to like this more than I actually do, but it highlights a bunch of issues that I had with the base game. As someone that played ZA and was like, you know what, the thing I like most about Pokemon is the entire adventure. So when you kind of tip the balance more in favour one way or the other, I thought the wild areas were cool, but just because they weren't a bigger factor of the game, I was like, oh, the battling gets a bit old for me, and this seems more deliberately focused on that, even more so. So, yeah, we'll see when we get to the end of it, certainly.
Yeah, I mean, if you were waving your magic wand, if you were Mr. Pokemon or whatever, what would you like to have put in this DLC?
I think the wild areas for me, I was just like, I would love them to expand what they had done in the original game, not reduce it. It's really weird that there's like 3 Pokemon in a decent sized area sometimes. And now you have a time limit to find the one Pokemon that you need to add to your Pokedex. So you're running around in circles. Like, stuff like that is just annoying. It is weird. It's very obviously been in development, not necessarily alongside the game or whatever, but obviously it's not been developed between the game's release and now. So they haven't, we spoke about it before, but they haven't been able to respond to any criticisms or tweak particularly much, other than maybe, come to think of it, and you were just talking about the rogue fights. I do really appreciate that they have a bit more character to them, not just from the Pokemon side, but from the arena side. They look more individualized. I just did the third one that you do in terms of like the string of objectives, and that's really fun in terms of the location and the character that it all has. It's just a shame because it came so soon. It is just like, this isn't necessarily an expansion in a way that it reacts to and bolts onto the game an appealing way.
Yeah, it's so funny to me that after we had a really healthy break between Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and its DLC and the announcement and eventual release of Legends Z-A, the longest wait between any mainline Pokemon game ever since the originals, and a lot of people say that was due to criticisms of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet's performance and visuals, and so it was tough for me as a person whose job is primarily to cover Pokemon, but it's also been really good to like eventually get here. And now you're right, this DLC doesn't feel rushed, but it does feel like maybe we needed a bit more breathing room. And it's like, God, we're here again with Pokemon, aren't we? In terms of like, well, and now on to the next thing. And it's pretty clear that February, when we get Pokemon's 30th anniversary Pokemon Day celebrations, it will be on to the next thing. And I'm like,
absolutely,
yeah, this break was good, but was it enough? But who can say? I'm not gonna moan about more content, and I think this is probably going to be a cap in Legends Z-A, other than maybe a couple of final additional missions, like the Petulant mission in Scarlet and Violet, where next year on Pokemon Day they go, oh, and we've updated today, and you can get Mega whatever. Like I think we'll get that. Yeah, I will say the time limit as well is a little bit frustrating. I saw a video this morning of somebody encountering a shiny Wimpod. They threw a Pokeball and the timer ran out as the Pokeball caught it, and they did not catch it. And I was like, that is gutting.
That's awful.
Though I will say as well, one of the Rogue Mega Evolution fights, so I think this is specifically the Rogue Mega Evolution fights, I was getting their health down, and then I ran out of time. And when you do that, the game presents you with, would you like to try again, or would you like to go back? And if you try again, it will take the Pokemon essentially roughly back to where its health was, but restart the timer. So that I really appreciate. They clearly have gone, okay, maybe 2 minutes actually isn't enough to do a Rogue Mega Evolution fight. Though it does beg the question of, in those ones, why add a timer at all in the Rogue Mega fights? If it
to be fair, that is an element in the base game as well. Like if you fail a Rogue Mega Evolution fight, you also get the option to restart again. So it is just kind of carried over. So the timer is not necessarily a factor. It was already a gameplay element. But as someone who's quite time poor, I am happy to be like, yes, I'll just carry on from where I was. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, like I said, I'm looking forward to more. I'm looking forward to seeing some new designs. And one thing I spoke to when I was chatting to Tom previously about sort of ideas for this, especially when we saw the first trailers for a new hyperspace zone, I had this crazy idea where I was like, oh, maybe like in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, you'll open portals to like loads of the legendaries, but maybe because Pokemon's anniversary is coming up, it'll be where you originally saw them, and we'll see like, you know, a Pokemon on a beach or on a volcano. And obviously, it's so easy when something's out to go, well, I would have just done this and imagine a better version. But man, I would have liked to have seen some different environments, like something different. Like
the whole thing about the hyperspace thing that amuses me is that, and I'm not going to give story spoilers, but as we go in, there's kind of implication about where it's come from and, you know, that kind of thing.
Yes.
And you cannot get away from the fact that, and I'm sure lots of people have pointed this out online already, I won't be the first, I imagine, I'd be surprised if I was, but I haven't looked. This is Mementos from Persona 5 for the people that have played that. I'm like, oh, okay, we're just doing Mementos, but it's white instead of red. Okay, fair enough.
Yep, pretty much. That or The World Ends With You, and the Pokemon themselves are the enemies. Yeah, it's God, I don't know. It's I hope I am enjoying it, but as I say, it both continues and Legends Z-A's strengths and weaknesses. So it's who knows? Maybe some of the fights towards the end and some of the revelations will bring it up for me. But at the moment, I'm happy to trot through it and I'm enjoying it. But I wish there was a little bit more variety. But going back, I'd love to know what you thought of Legends Z-A in general. It's been about a month or 6 weeks since release now, so we've had a decent amount of time. Were you particularly hyped about it beforehand? Are you a Legends Arceus diehard? What did you think?
Overall, I quite enjoyed it. I think my opinion, subjectively, is that I prefer Z-A. I could absolutely see the idea that Arceus is objectively the better game, but I think I had more fun with the design of Z-A The shopping list of things to do in Arceus was so distracting for me that I wound up not finishing it because I was too busy catching 100 of every Pokemon or whatever else it was telling me I could do. But I really liked ZA's structure as like almost like an episodic anime in its own right. Its little cast of characters. I thought the character designs in general were really great. And you said there about the DLC carrying its strengths and weaknesses. That's true here as well. I think the new characters, great designs, and I like the story momentum of meeting back up with everyone that you know from the base game. That's really cool. But yeah, overall, I was quite happy with ZA. I actually don't think it needed DLC. I'm happy to take it. I'm happy to play it. I will say that much. But it was a nice little package. You said about the long gap between games. It was kind of nice to pivot and do something different. And a lot of my concerns about the game being set in a single location were very much put to rest. I had a really great time with ZA. I enjoyed it overall quite a lot. The DLC doesn't put a dampener on that, certainly. But I don't think I needed it.
Yeah, I will say one thing I do want to say about the DLC is when you think about the DLC, and obviously not everything's comparable, the DLC for Scarlet and Violet or Sword and Shield, they add these whole new areas, brand new mechanics. Sword and Shield particularly, I think the DLC turns them from fine games to good games, and Scarlet and Violet's DLC was really impressive in terms of scope and the amount of areas you could uncover. In England, at least, the Mega Dimension DLC costs £25. Now, that is not to pick on the memes of the year. That is more money than Hollow Knight Silksong.
Goodness.
And it is. I'd say from what people are saying online, it's probably if you tear through about 6 hours. I haven't completed all of it, but given the amount of content that I think is in here and what I think is being presented, I have to say quite objectively, quite honestly, I'm not happy with the amount of content for that price.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and also
it's very
Sorry, go on.
No, you carry on.
I was going to say the sort of also the variety of content, and I know it is kind of apples and oranges, and I do think that maybe Game Freak and so on kind of learned their lesson from. I think they might have overextended themselves with Scarlet and Violet's DLC because, like you say, it was massive. It was really big. It was really rich. Like you could really put a lot of time into the DLC alone, whereas this feels so much more scaled back, which doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing at all. And maybe the scale back, feeling of this fits ZA better, but from a price point wise, it is kind of hard to recommend unless you loved ZA and you just can't get enough of it, certainly.
Yeah, compared to Legends Arceus added after the fact new missions, new mass outbreak missions, and these also, I don't think Legends Arceus ever added any more Pokemon, which maybe is why that update was free. But it did add new types of mass outbreaks and... what else did that DLC add? It was something, it was. That was just a free sort of here it is today, and it's so tough to sort of pick and choose. Like, oh, well, this should be DLC and this shouldn't, because there's been DLCs that I've paid for that probably were like the equivalent of someone flicking a switch, and yet I still was like, I'm so happy this is in the game, and I'm so happy I paid for this. Like, I paid, I think, £6 to have Godzilla and Super Monkey Ball the other day. Like, it's so tough to say about what has value, because it's entirely up to you. And but even as a person who absolutely loves Pokemon, I feel a bit shortchanged so far, and I'm hoping that feels different by the end. But yeah, imagine you buy Legends ZA. Nintendo Switch 2 edition and the Nintendo Switch 2, which is probably £500, and then you want to get this DLC as well. Like that's a rough Christmas list. Like Santa's probably just as strapped as the rest of us. Like it's
got a lot of
I imagine his elves. I imagine the elves are working very hard at this time of year, but even that must be a bit much. I wonder if Santa gets codes. I feel like he should.
If really. One guy does, it's got to be him.
Yeah, not for him, but like, surely the devs are like, here, Santa, here's a load of codes, hand them out, whatever. Yeah, it'll be interesting. So I've spoken a little bit about how I feel about Legends ZA, and now that it's been a good old month or so, I really powered through it at launch to get a review out, but I'm happy to say that I like it as much as I liked it when I first reviewed it, and I think if anything, time's been a bit kinder to it, because I've just grown to really like the battling mechanics even more, which was still my greatest strength of it, but I originally thought I didn't find the battles as engaging as I found catching an Arceus, which, as you say, it's a very different sort of thing, but I found in Arceus catching was it's so fluid and so rewarding, and I felt like I could just go out. But now, obviously, the battles do take a bit longer, but I do, especially with ranked battles at the moment, I'm really loving them. I'm loving the strategy. I'm loving that the ranked battles are changing often, so they're like, okay, now you can use Zygarde, now you can use this. I really like Legends Z. I still don't think it's as good as Arceus, and I think if Arceus had got a Nintendo Switch 2 patch which made it look and run as good as this, we'd definitely be saying Arceus is better. But also Arceus is like the best Pokemon game in maybe 15 years, so it's sort of tough to follow that up with something markedly different but still good. Like, it's really good that Pokemon went, let's not do the same thing again, let's try something else, and it's this good. Like, I think that's wonderful. Yeah, what's your I'm gonna go off on a tangent now to close us out. What's your dream Legends game? And not talking about anything that may have been retweeted on Twitter or whatever. I don't care about leaks of a concept from 5 years ago, because that is not a game. Like, people change directions and whatever. They also, slight rant, they conceptualize about 20 games. So I don't care if you went on Twitter and you think you know what's going on. You don't. It's I hate leaks. They bore me.
Yes, yeah, you and me both. I don't know. It's hard to say now, because I thought we had an idea. We only had one to go off originally, so it's kind of stupid to say that. But I thought we had a good idea of what a Legends game was until ZA came out, and I guess it can kind of be anything. The whole historical element, everyone just thought that was what part of Legends was, and not the case at all. We have a modern game with ZA. In fact, we have a sequel with ZA. So I guess they can kind of be whatever. I would, though, still like to see more variety in time periods, whether that's more historical moments looking back at previous regions like Hoenn and so forth. So it feels absurd, and I know I'm picking on something really easy here, that we don't have a black and white remake on the way, as far as we know, announced or anything like that. So something in that region, whether that's historical or, in fact, let's do the opposite and just go far future. Let's go 100 years into Pokemon's future.
Yeah.
Let's bump up against Paradox Pokemon. Let's see what happens.
So that's what I was going to say. Like, I've talked at length about my dream of a Pokemon Legends Celebi, which I think everyone thought was the natural next step. And maybe you tell the story of the Burning Towers and how Entei, Reiku, and Suicune became those legendary beasts, which feels like a slam dunk, but also it feels so on the nose that Pokemon will never do it. I agree. I would love to see a future or a space-based Legends game.
Interesting.
I'm a huge Emerald and Ruby Sapphire fan. I mean, I love all of them, but I've got such a love for that region. Emerald in particular came out when I was maybe 14, 15. So, like, such prime gaming years. God, I loved it. And Deoxys was one of my favourite Pokemon for ages.
Yeah.
I'd love to do a space-based, futuresque, like, whether not like a Jason X sort of thing, but like a maybe, you know, Deoxys wakes up on a space station. Yeah.
Goes on a rampage,
But no, like something, whether it's a space station or like them exploring and an extension of the Paradox Pokemon, maybe how they're made, or maybe we actually go to like an alien world and we see like actual, instead of Paradox Pokemon, actual like alien Pokemon, and it would be so fun to do something. Yeah, the Legends formula at this point in time feels like a way for them to go, let's do something crazy, and I'm loving that. Like, no one thought they were going to bring back Megas and make them the focus of a game.
Yeah, totally.
Trying to think what other sort of gameplay elements. Like, imagine they made like a Pokemon Legends Ranger, and like they brought in like ranger elements or something.
Yeah, that would be really cool. Like that and Snap, and like tie in some of the spin-off games a bit more. A Pokemon game which is also Cafe Remix. You know, something weird like that would be cool.
Yeah, maybe not Cafe Remix, but maybe a good game. And
It was the first thing that came to mind.
yeah, no. Right, well, I think that's pretty much our thoughts so far on the Pokémon Legends Z-A Mega Dimension DLC. Hopefully, when the DLC, we've actually had the time to complete it, we are a little bit warmer towards it, but I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
I think, Sai, you share those sentiments, but
Yeah.
also, thank you so much for joining a Culture Dex video.
Oh,
This has been
my pleasure.
absolutely wonderful, and I look forward to having you back on soon.
Indeed.
Right, thank you for watching, guys.
Oh.
Catch you later.
Bye-bye.